This is pretty much all I use as plastics on the bike. The tail, the Acerbis frame protectors, and two side panels. The tail comes off with one bolt, one plug, and take this off. This is the fuel tank breather. Well, anyway, back to us. I said make some update on the... Yes, baby. We're gonna make some updates on the T7. I take this as occasion because I have much more time working on the bike now. Well, much more time. I have a week because we are working on the suspensions after the whole season. Because unfortunately, as you know, my season ended up. Oh, I need to take this lens off. You're not gonna see much for this one. That's gonna be better. So my season ended up earlier, as you know, because of my injuries. It was nothing major, nothing dramatic, but I couldn't race anymore. Cracked ribs and all that stuff. So the Down to Dusk, I think they just finished yesterday. Today is Monday, bank holiday, and they finished yesterday. I was watching a couple of bits and I was, very, very jealous and gutted I couldn't do it. Anyways, back to us. So because the season ended up earlier, I take a chance to say, okay, let's service the bike. Supposed to do it this winter, but let's do it now. And to my surprise, suspensions were in a very, very bad condition, very bad. And I go back to that in a second. So because it was much worse than we was expecting, we had to order some replacement parts, and they would not arrive in time. So we have obviously time between they arriving and obviously me being able to walk on a bike a little bit more. So I said, okay, let's grab the camera and show you in the details because the bike is dismantled. And let's start with dismantling the bike. So, as you know, the original T7, like any other bike, it takes some time to dismantle to this stage. So you have no suspensions, no wheels, no, structures on the top, no plastics, no fairings, nothing. Well, usually to get to this point, it takes me about half a day. This bike, now I'm not exaggerating, it takes between 25-30 minutes top, not rushing. It is that simple. And you have to understand one very important thing. Let me grab the camera so I'm not disrupting the microphone, because usually I do that. When one builds a race vehicle, it's either the car, because I've been building race cars for a long time. I've been building bikes too for a long time, but recently, obviously for the past 12 years, mostly cars. It's not just that you put better suspensions, you do some mapping on the engine to perform better. It's not just pure performance. The performance on a race motorcycle as a car also comes from the simplicity. And simplicity is required because stuff goes wrong. You crash, you need to replace the parts, you have to change something very quickly, and very often you have to do it on the side of the road. For example, when you're doing rally stuff, cars or motorcycles. This is a rally motorcycle. So this bike's supposed to take me, the way I've built it, modified, is that I want the bike to be as reliable as possible. But also we know the stuff goes wrong. You have to fix something, not because it broke, because you may break it during the crash or something. So you have to have a full access to the full motorcycle, to any part of it very quickly. So in the standard forms, these bikes, you need few tools, and you need much longer time to take it down to this stage. I'm not saying you have to strip it down the side of the road to the bare frame and engine. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying, it has to be easy to remove everything. For example, the fuel tank I made, which is on the back here, which everyone knows how it is. That's the fuel tank, which is also the rear part of the subframe. Same way that Husqvarna and KTM's do it on the 690 series bikes. It literally have 1, 2, 3 and 4 bolts, a quick disconnection for the fuel hose, a plug for the fuel pump, and nothing comes off. What about the seat? Well, the seat, just disengage the seat, that's it. That's all it takes. It literally takes about 2-3 minutes, not rushing. You know, and also, in case of I'm gonna have a bad crash or something happens, hypothetically saying I'm gonna rip the fuel tank off from the motorcycle, the back end, for any reason. Let's not speculate what could happen. Let's say it happened. Well, this is what we end up with. Obviously, you have the suspensions and all this stuff. What I mean by that, the standard motorcycle has a subframe, a big subframe, which is, I still have it. I can actually literally, believe it or not, I can put this bike almost to the standard forms, because you have the original subframe, which have this mounts now on, which is exactly the same modification that Yamaha does on the official bikes. They cut the subframe in half, roughly in the place I cut it, and they put very similar mounting points. This is very common to use. This is not something invented. This has been used for many times, many years. Roll cages have this mounting points like this, you know, like a pipe machined in half. Some of them have the slots, some of them not, obviously bigger on the stuff, but it's very common to use something like this. So Yamaha does it on their bikes as well, because as you know, the T7, the subframe on the back is one piece with the frame, and if you bend it, it's right off because it's very structural, it's a frame. In my case, I'll be not having this, I'm going around it, chop it, get a new one, or part of, you know, second-hand one, someone crashed the front, the subframe is back, or we just fix it, or whatever. Well, in my case, I actually make my own stuff. But anyways, Yamaha does it, so it's not something new. But the beauty is, because I don't run everything as standard, the rear is the fuel tank. There's no battery there, there's no electrics there, because in the standard you have ECU, which is on this side, you have electrical connectors, you have your relays, you have your fuses close to the battery, your battery, the sensors, the tip of a sensor and all that stuff. Well, all of that is gone, and everything that's supposed to be there is in this plastic box holding by zip ties. Now you can argue as much as you want, but all the crashes, all the stuff she's been through, the only damage is this zip tie here that came off, and it's probably just in the process of removing the fuel tank. So you can laugh at this as much as you want, but this is brilliant because it's light, because it's not conductive, just in case something goes loose or the wire goes exposed, and it's not gonna short on a piece of metal or anything. It's very simple, you know. It contains, and because it's not sealed, when the water goes in, it goes out, because hey, water will go in no matter what. There's no such a thing as a sealed box. Too many entry points. So to be honest, I've done it just to, you know, as experiment to see if it works, and now I'm like, this thing actually performed so good. I probably just gonna replace the zip ties with the stronger ones, or just leave it, because to my surprise, you know, to my own criticism, they survived as good as the rest of the bike, if not better. Definitely better than the suspension. So yeah, it is a bit cheap, looks botched, but who cares? It works great, you know. So that's the main thing, you know. Everything is compact, everything is inside and protected. So something happens, everything is in one place, is protected inside the chassis, inside the frame. You know, this you make it as safe as possible. The more crash resistant, the more trouble resistant. You know, I'm not saying crashes if you smash the bike in pieces, then game over, but I mean, it's enduro. It's rarely, you know, you come off quite easily and quite often. Usually not bigger damages, but sometimes just stupid fall off and you get some damage. So we're trying to, you know, get that eliminated or limited as much as possible. Anyways, back to us. So let me show you the mods on the frame. Well, the frame, unfortunately, has to be standard to the regulations. We are allowed to modify the subframe, the stuff around it, but not the frame itself, not the geometry itself. So all that stays original. Now, as you may notice, there is no rear brake reservoir. Well, this is my reservoir. This is oil resistant or brake oil .4, not 5.1 resistant transparent hose. You know, this is what we use. This is a solution we used to use on the race bikes, on the road race bikes, circuit bikes, and I find it very good. I got a heat shield on the on the brake hose and on the sensor a little bit, and also on the pump, because my exhaust passes quite closely. If you watch the latest video I showed you the exhaust, I don't like the way the way it looks, but it really works very well in enduro when you crash, when you pull, when you come off. Pegs, you know these already. This is YZ 450 Chinese ones. They're probably like 35 pounds. Tell you something, these fuckers, they are strong. I don't think I want anything else. I absolutely love them. They're great. They need tiny bit of modification, but tiny bit, nothing major to put them on. Apart that, they are brilliant. You can change these, you can just screw it in. I never actually screw them in, never tie them in, so I lost 1 and 2 on this side, and I think a couple of them on this side here. Yeah, 1 on this side here. Now on this side I took so much abuse, so much hit. You can see this has hit there. This bent against that bracket. You went that strong, you went over there. I bent the original pin, and I bent the bracket that holds everything. This is metal, thick metal. I bent it. It was all over the place. And as a matter of fact, this is new from Yamaha. And but the foot peg, still good. No problems, didn't bend, didn't break, everything is good. Yeah, it has a bit more play, but again, this is just Tenere wear, it didn't broke, it did its job. So if I'm gonna replace them, I'm gonna replace them with exactly the same ones. Now you can criticize as much as you want, is a Chinese bit, blah 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 blah. Well, let's start with this crap Chinese stuff. Chinese stuff could be as bad as you want it to be, or as good as you want it to be. This is my job. I mean, we do development in motorsport stuff. I've been doing this for many years. I can tell you right now, the biggest companies with the highest quality of parts, they have their factories in China. Those Chinese guys, they're the ones who make the most beautiful and biggest quality parts. I'm not saying it's only China make them, but majority of the stuff comes from there. So anyways, foot pegs are good. Camo ADV products, foot brake, really good. As you can see, obviously the bike takes abuse. I smashed this. I would prefer this to be foldable, like the other side on the gears, so it gets in. It isn't. You can see I already bent it. I hit that probably a few times on the rocks to the point when I bent it massively. This didn't bend at all. It's still good feeling. Everything is good and it's spot on. With no ABS, so no extra hoses, to dampen the fluid before it goes to the caliper. This thing is very, very strong. I have to be careful not to lock the back wheel. So actually, that's something I have to address because yeah, it actually is too strong. Obviously it's me, I'm not gonna spend any money on stuff like this. I'm gonna make something very quick, burst piece of metal, make it longer, and it works. On this side, I don't have it, it's on the bars. I have like a YZ 450 copy of a clutch lever, which is much shorter than the original one and makes everything just absolutely beautiful. You can pull the clutch with one finger all day long, even if you're tired, so that's good. This is my ABS dongle, or whatever you want to call it. It replaces the ABS pump, so everything is working okay. Speedo is still working, no lights on the dash, and it removes the front sensor completely. It takes everything from the real sensor, which is here. This is the only sensor I have for the speed, and no lights on the dash at all. Everything is fine. There's no arrows, speed is still showing, everything is working great. Alright, so let's go around and see what else we're doing. I'm not gonna show you obviously the obvious stuff, but what I'm gonna show you is this, because in order to put the battery electrics here, I had to remove the airbox. Now the standard airbox is a bit crappy, to be honest, on the T7. I think it's way undersized. I think it should be much bigger. The air filter, do I have one? I have two of them, I'll show you now. The air filter is quite small. The lid and the hole the air goes through to the air filter is, I think, it's a bit small for the capacity of the engine and the RPMs it does. I think it's a little bit limited. So that should be increased no matter what. But what I did, is to actually make it completely different. So as you see, to remove the air filters from there and put them here, this is what I did. This is an aluminium base with a velocity stack. It's quite important you make this not straight angle, because this stabilizes the airflow through, and then the length of the runners actually is quite beneficial to stabilize the flow. So when it enters the engine, you can use the cylinder chamber, especially in the head, which is the squish, whatever you want to call it, between the valves. When the air is stabilized, what the engineers designed, the shape of the head, the shape of the valves and all the stuff, and it really works good to mix the air with the fuel as efficient as possible. So this is actually quite beneficial. Plus it makes massive noise. You can hear the intake as much as you can hear the exhaust. Now to travel, this probably won't be ideal because it's quite annoying if you want to just travel, but for racing and playing around, yeah, it's quite exciting. I really like it. Sometimes I hear more the intake than the exhaust, so it's good. But anyways, this is what I've done. So you can see it's very easy, and anyone can do it. You know, it's just I think, I don't remember what degree is this bend to silicone pipes, and then you have metal pipes. They are 2 inches in diameter, so the same diameter, if not slightly bigger than the throttle bodies inside, and the velocity stack, or trumpet, if you want to call it so. And then on top of this goes the air filter. Now the air filters are these. Let me just take one of these apart. I have the pre-filters on the top, which still have to be washed from the last race. But the whole bike's supposed to be washed. I did wash it, but just a little. Oh, come on, one hand is not ideal. See how dusty it was. This is the air filter. This is KN air filter. This opening is already much bigger than the standard one, which is single, and I have 2 of them. So each of them is bigger than the standard, and one of them does 1 cylinder. So we have about way more than twice the air going through capacity, if you want to call it so. And so this goes on the top. If the water goes on top, it goes here and goes around, and then it will have to go through here, so it's almost no way to go through. Some water, if it's all wet, it would go through, but that's particles. It's not water putting in, it's just almost atomized. And it's not atomized, I want to call it, it's like a steamy. You know what I mean. There's nothing wrong with that. Engine will deal with that, no problems actually, with the water methanol injection, or even just water injection in the engines to cool them down, to raise the compression a little, for performance stuff. So trust me, that's nothing bad. What else we've done here? Obviously we have the radiator, which is moved back a little. With the Boano kit, you have these small brackets to move the radiator back, because of the offset, different offset of the triple clamps, and they are huge. Let me go from this side. They are very strong. This is the only thing I really like about Boano stuff. These, the new geometry, and the bracket to push these back. So anyways, because these have slightly different geometry, because the wheel travel is increased to nearly 300 mil, the wheel goes much higher and will hit the radiator if you don't move it back. So that's something to bear in mind. Also, I have these frame reinforcements. Now, I like this because it connects the back of the frame to the front of the frame and the engine in between. Now, from here to here, no problem, because it's already connected to the engine. But, from here to here, yeah, that's kind of, I do like it. But also, there's a bolt go through there, you can see that, and there's another bracket here. Maybe you can see it. No, you can't see it from here. Oh, there you go. You see that bracket there? It's also connected to this bracket, and it takes that engine mount, which is not used usually, and connects it to this engine mount, you can see, and to this. So it makes it like a one big, one piece. Everything is stiffer, much stiffer. So I do like it. Now, how much difference did I felt? I didn't, because unfortunately when I've changed the suspensions and when I radicalized this motorcycle, I fitted everything together. So the difference was huge, but I'm not able to tell you which part exactly made how much of a difference. So, it If it didn't make any difference, I would put it anyway, just for the peace of mind, because I like the idea that grabs everything, be more solid, be more stiffer. You know, it's a race bike, it's not a road bike anymore, so I like even the idea of it. What else? I think that's it. You know, my clocks are here. This is a very good position. Actually, of course, you not be able to see them just with the glance down. You have to glance be more down. But when you're racing, you don't really watch that. So it's fine. And when you're riding on the road, quick glance is fine. You know, plus on the navigation tower, you have your speed anyway, so it's fine. And when I'm using the Enduro tower, because I have two of them, this is the Enduro tower. And this is used with the Carpaita tablet, so I can have all the display, all my engine parameters and everything, everything that you see knows it can go there through the OBD port, so no problems. I can have it in the front. And obviously when you do rally stuff, this is my rally tower with a massive lighting. Then obviously on the icon you have your speed, so again, not a problem there. What else? Now, suspension wise, I'm gonna go in a detail with the suspension, especially the front, because I am quite highly disappointed with Boano stuff. I do like the triple clamps. I do like the position of the bars, because they are slightly facing back a little. So for sure, the people like me, that is quite beneficial, makes the bike quite stable. And because you grab it slightly back in respect to the axle when it turns, because the offset on this is quite aggressive, but the bike doesn't ride aggressively. And this is a great combination. So I have to give them credit. Geometry wise, spot on. You know, the bike tunes in fairly quick, but at the same time is very stable. Two things that we don't combine together. Usually is always a trade-off, one or another, or you find in between. This triple clamps has a geometry offset. The bike's supposed to be very, very aggressive, and it's not. So, yeah, they nailed on that. What they disappointed in is the internals of the front fork. It's basically the standard fork, two left forks, so you have the adapter to get, to brake calipers. That's absolutely fine. But internals, they have changed nothing apart the spring. They just put a heavier log spring, which isn't even correct length. It should be, but there's speculations. I need to check about things. I don't want to say yet too much without knowing 100%. So let's leave the spring away for now. The weight of the spring is correct. The length maybe probably not, but the hydraulics, they left them completely standard. And I was convinced for all the money, because that's, I think it's €3,500 plus shipping plus taxes. When that stuff arrives in UK, is about 4.5K. And you're paying that much money. You're expecting the internals to be done for the weight of the motorcycle. This is what they claim. So the spring was changed, but the hydraulic, they stayed exactly the same as on a YZ250 or WR 450. There's no revolving. Valves are completely standard. So what they did to compensate, which is something extremely cheap and extremely stupid and something that shouldn't have been done, is to put much, much heavier oil in a cartridge. It's not good, because that oil boils quicker. It does emulsion, so it gets air bubbles inside much quicker. It overheats much quicker. So the way the dampening works, it only works till a certain point, then overheats and it changes. It's not good. Or the valving is just not good in any way. That the oil is much heavier. So what we're doing now, we're doing a proper revolving with the correct oil, with the correct pads. We're changing the bushes, and this is all top quality stuff. So I think the guy who does my suspension, I think he's going to put the forks on the dyno as well, so we're going to have a graph as a comparison of how they worked. We have a graph on the rear end. So I think we finished with the front end with the forks. Now, besides the fuck up of the hydraulics not being done anything with them to support obviously the heavier motorcycle, Besides that, I'm happy with that. You know, I'm with the Buono stuff, geometry, the strength, and everything is spot on. Is great. The internals, no. But we're working on that stuff because maybe we're gonna release something on our own, something slightly better. You know, we're gonna be tip top because the guy I'm working with, we entered some sort of collaboration. We're gonna do some development, and you know, he wants to release a product on the market that is proper ready and much better quality as well. So he does only suspension, so you know he knows his stuff. So if you move back to the rear shock, that was okay. I have no complaints with the tractive. The only thing is that the tractive I have is a 230 or 225 or 235 mil travel, where there are more adjustments to do to it. So it did last almost a season. Almost a season means that I still supposed to do 2 races, and it was out. We put on a dyno and it was something wrong, and I knew it was something wrong before I took it off, because I say to this guy, look, it's just not copying, it's just not doing in time to absorb all the stuff. When I'm going in rough terrain, I'm losing traction, something is wrong. I don't think it's just in my mind. And yeah, we put on the dyno and we find out, yeah, it was spiking on the pressures. We took it apart, it was just worn out as the oil. We had the gas in the oil, which is understandable, that is normal, it happens. The bike has massive abuse, so yeah, I was expecting that. The only modification we do on our rear shock is to remove probably 3/4 of the bump stop. The bump stop on the rear shock on the tractive is huge. It will support probably a weight of 2 GSs put together. We really don't need that much. So we removed a lot, well, he removed a lot, and that should give me much more travel on the back wheel, which, you know, we're probably going to have some more travel on the front as well, which takes us to another complication I'm going to show you in a minute. But besides that, tractive is fine. We put a bigger tank, a gas tank or reservoir for the gas, for the piston, so we're going to run more quantity of oil, more gas, a little less pressure, because they run with pressure a little bit too high. It's okay for the road use, but off-road competition, off-road fun is a bit off. So that could be improved massively as well. There you go, and you can run cooler. One other thing on the front forks, when you get anything factory or anything modifications or anything from the internals, you receive the spring retainers in aluminium. The standard ones, when you buy them, you know, from the shop, they come in with plastic retainers, and these plastic retainers, they're not good even for the dirt bikes, and Buono left them for the big bikes too, which is shocking, because we had Jordan, a friend of mine, Jordan Young, who won last year's the British Rally Championship, his first race or second race on a T7. He put the Buono shocks front end on it like I did, and he broke them. Mines, they were cracked and mangled, so I was probably about 20-30 minutes away from breaking them. So it's actually good I haven't entered the last race I was supposed to enter, because the bike wouldn't last, you know, and this front end would just collapse and potentially break much more inside. So that was good. We stopped just in time. I paid the price, cracked ribs, but I probably saved the bike. So I think that's the end of the suspensions, apart the swing arm. Now the swing arm, when I was at the ABR festival and some fixtures, I've seen the swing arm. You know, on the side of the swing arm, you have these grommets. There's one here. There's 2 of these, as you can see, on inside. On one side, there's actually one of these, and one of these. And then in front of the windscreen, these are here, one here, and one here. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fairly big holes. There's another one but smaller on the swing arms. And I've noticed that Yamaha on Tares and Boturi's official race bikes, they weld them up. They made the swing arm like one solid piece. Not solid piece, but there's no holes. They reinforce it. Now, I don't know the benefits of that. Well, I know the benefits of that. It's stronger, it's tougher, and it has less flex and all that stuff. But practically, do you feel it? Are they weak that you have to reinforce them? All of these questions I didn't ask myself. I have no idea. I just know if Yamaha does it on the race bikes, it must be beneficial at some level. If I'm gonna benefit from those modifications, I have no idea, probably not. But as I was here, it's like, well, let's do it anyway. So I did. Let me just move this stuff here. I'm gonna show you my swing gun just very quickly. Sorry for the mess, but it is what it is. So this is the side of the swing gun, as you know. This is okay. I put some welds on here because, as you know, T7, you got exhaust rubbing on this when you crash because it goes closer to the swing arm, and when you jump and this goes up and down, you scratch that. So I want to, you know, just aesthetics, fix it a little bit. I'm gonna grind this down and just take the original shape. Anyways, these are the holes that are supposed to be there. They're not there anymore. So there's one here, one on the other side, two on this side, and one on this side. There is another one here. This is very small one. I left the grommet there because, well, I may just put some sealant around it so the water stops going inside. And by the way, yes, the water, dirty water goes inside. It was filthy inside, even though there was grommets and everything. You know, every single hole was closed, but stuff still goes in there. Now we have these holes here, and there's another two of them, and these are for the chain slider. And the chain slider obviously goes on the top here, and to all the guys saying, "Oh, to change this slider, you have to remove the swing arm." No, it's open here, so it literally goes well, this way on the top. You know, I'm gonna do it with one hand now. Anyways, this goes this way. Oh yes, this goes the other way and then slides there. And these grommets here, these things, and two on the bottom, it just goes in these holes and keep everything in place, which is quite clever. You know, it's good, it's functional, it works and everything. But that being said, some of the water is gonna go inside there, and because we have screws here and this part is threaded, if that gets dirty or something happens, whatever, you know, I want to be able to blow it through and clean it, or, you know, clean it however you want to do it. Now, if that was completely sealed, I'd still be able to do it anyways, but because the stuff goes in the first place, you want to be able to get it out. Naturally, they have a drain hose, one here and one there. So, you know, if the water goes in, it goes out, but you have to remember to, you know, if the mud goes in there, you have to clean it, because water will not clog these holes, but mud will. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna leave this out, because just in case too much water or mud, some crap goes in, I want to be able to kind of clean it inside. It's not gonna be easy, but it's gonna be possible. So that's why I left that one on there. If it's a good idea or not, I'm not sure. We're gonna find out in a few years' time. So beside the swing arm suspensions, now there's another thing. You probably know already, I modified my swing arm and I machined this slot for the swing arm to go back, and I think I've done about 15 or 20 mil. And the reason for that is because I wanted to get the swing arm a bit longer, which gives this bike a bit more stability, because Yamaha is very known for having very high angle on the swing arm. And the reason for that is, don't fall for the bullshit they tell you that because they want more traction. No. This is because they adapted the engine, the CP2 engine, from the road bike to an off-road bike. Because the position you put the swing arm, which is here, is directly dictated by the position of your sprocket, which is the shaft going out from your gearbox, and that is dictated where your gearbox position is. So in this engine, in this frame, this is here. If that was here, the swing arm would be lower, and that would be much better, period. So this is a fuck up. They're just trying to cover it up. Now, does it work? Yes, it does actually work. T7 actually have a very good traction up the hill, so I have to give them credit. It works. They have not done it on purpose. It just came out like this, you know. They say they design it in purpose for that. It's like, no, because this is not an enduro bike. This is not a bike to climb the hill climbs. If anything, this is a rally bike, which has to be stable on fast speed stuff. And on the fast stuff, The high angle on the swing arm is not beneficial at all. It does not give you more traction. It actually makes the rear shock work harder, and it destabilizes the frame a tiny bit more than the swing arm that is a bit more parallel. That works a bit more neutral. We can go into that, but it's gonna take hours. Anyways, if you make the swing arm longer, you remove some of that bad effect, and that's why T7 actually is one of the longest wheelbase motorcycle in his class these years. KTM 790, I think they're about 7 or 8 centimeters shorter. Is that much? That's quite a lot. Trust me, that's a lot. 10 mil, you feel the difference. 70, 80 mil is a huge difference. So what I did, I wanted to make the bike much more stable, just experimenting and changing all that stuff, and it works. In enduro though, in like British Rally Championship, which is pretty much enduro race mixed with some fast stuff, I wanted the bike to be able to lift the front easier, and be more nimble, to say so. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try and have my adjustments fully up front. Now, in order to do that, because that's gonna give me quite a lot actually of shortening the wheelbase. I think it's 35 or 40 mil. It's quite substantial. In order to do this, I have to shorten the chain, but also I want to be able to go back and adjust the forth and back if I need to. So I bought 2 of these. So what you do, you remove obviously a few links. I'm gonna remove actually 3 or 4 links in order to shorten it that much, and replace them with disconnecting the links. This is the ID. 525, you can buy them. So yes, 5 to 5 sorry, chain could be with a quick disconnect. You don't have to rivet them and hammer them and all that stuff. So that's gonna be done. So another quick mod I've done. The sliders, these rollers here, usually on a Yamaha, they are crap. They're just a piece of plastic. I replaced them with the bearing fitted ones, which they last much longer, less noisy, they don't wear out. These come from Honda CRF 250, 2005, 2007, yeah, and they fit straight on, just if you want to know. So, more wheel travel. More wheel travel in compression if you don't want to rise the bike massively. Comes with a compromise that the bike, when fully compressed on the suspension, when you land the jump, is gonna go lower, and the T7 does not have a great ground clearance. It's probably one of the best in the field in this class of motorcycles, but still not great. So yeah, we're working on that one. The way I'm working on this one is because when you put the SAM guards, they fit on these mounts. I'm gonna show you in the frame in a minute, and then they go down a little because they need some space between this and the sump itself, because in case you break this or you bend this with the stone or whatever, you may kick it in and still touch the sump. So to be safe, this is away. These frame mounts, as you can see, they are away from the mounts from the frame itself. So your sump guard roughly is here, in that position there. So what I did, I'm gonna remove those and I'm gonna put my sump guard straight on these frame rails. And that's gonna give me about or just over 30 mil more ground clearance. Now, that's all great, that's all good. I have to make my own sump guard or modify that one. I'm probably gonna make my own one because this one looks good, but it's a wrong grade of aluminium. It's very soft. The aluminium in this case should be, I don't know, 6082, 7075 maybe, T6, possibly coming from high 6000 or even to 7000 grades aluminium. These are the strongest one. The 6082, I think, T6, which is threatened. So they have heat treat on the surface and all the stuff. They are 90% as strong as stainless steel 304. 304 stainless steel is the steel I'm using to make my engine mounts. Trust me, that stuff is hard and is resistant. So that's where I'm gonna make it from. So that's one downside. I have to spend time and build it. Also, there is another downside, that the sump originally it's just below those pipes here. So if you put the sump there, it will sump guard in there, this level, it will touch your sump. So this is what I did. You're gonna freak out now. You're gonna say, well, you did, you removed a big chunk of the sump, you lost a lot of oil inside, a lot of oil capacity, you shouldn't be doing this. Calm down, chill. I'm gonna show you how much I removed. Yeah, that's all. That's all we removed. That's all we removed. This is probably not even a quarter of a Coca-Cola can. Smaller, less than this is nothing. It's probably nothing to worry about. However, yes, you remove tiny bit of oil, so it's not improvement, it's something gets worse. Well, no, because I'm gonna add oil cooler. An oil cooler is gonna have much more capacity than we actually lost from there, so we're gonna recover from that side. The oil cooler is gonna go here, and I think I'm gonna do it today, trying to study and make something on my machines on the lathe. The water goes from here to here. I can't remember the direction it goes, but it goes through that thing there. That's actually not a cooler, that is a heat exchanger, and you have to understand this. They don't cool down anything. This is for usually used on the standard engines, and it gives the oil a hand to warm up quicker, because the oil takes much longer to warm up than the water. And usually people, when they say, oh, it's 60-70 degree on the water engine is nice and warm and off we go, that's not the case. The oil takes much longer than the water to warm up, and it's not very good to to open up on a cold engine. Cold engine means oil too thick to operate on optimum levels. So that's what I do it, because people actually don't care of them, of that. Majority of the people don't know that, and also, it's just for the comfort. The bike is gonna be outside 2-3 minutes running, 5 minutes, people jump on and off you go. So it's be more safer this way. Race stuff, no, we care more about cooling the oil primarily. When it's overheating, when you obviously the engine is under stress for long period of times. And lo and behold, obviously Yamaha on the CP2 engines, on the race bikes, T7 race bikes, they put the oil cooler, and I've seen it. It's a nice place because it's actually here on the side of this exhaust, and I think that's what I'm gonna do as well. I'm gonna look for a different place, plus this is a pretty good place to put it on, so I think I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it now this week, probably not over the winter. Probably today I'm just gonna take some measurements to study what I have to build to make it, and that's it. Also, I think this is not ideal on the motorcycles, but I think I'm gonna heat wrap my exhaust, because it's quite close to the radiator here, it's quite close to the sump itself here, and obviously there's gonna be oil cooler here. Now, why isn't ideal? Isn't ideal because the heat wrap, I show you on my exhaust, because I actually put on some pad of my exhaust. Ooh, excuse me. Wow. This is the heat wrap I'm talking about, and as you can see, this side is full of mud, which again, not a problem. This side is clean because I cleaned it. The problem arises when you're going through the water or through muddy water. And what happens, it retains, because it's like a sponge, it retains the water. So you ever notice when you go with a hot exhaust in the water in the paddles and it steams up a little later? Well, if you heat wrap it, it steams out for much longer because it retains the water in, and it takes much longer to evaporate. That is the only downside. But the positive side of it is that retains the heat inside the pipes. It doesn't radiate the heat as much as just a naked pipes. These are extremely thin. This is very thin material, as you can see, and they radiate heat extremely to the outside towards the sump, when obviously we have the oil there, so they warm up the oil, not when we need it, when we don't need it. And also when you're not going too fast, so the speeds are low, don't have too much air ventilation from here, because when you have air ventilation, no problem, there's no heat is gonna go transfer from the exhaust, from the headers to the radiator, because the airflow is going that way. But in a steady situation like forest, you know, trucks and just general enduro stuff, when the speeds are very low, sometimes you're trying to get out of the hole in a dodgy situation, revving the bike, this is getting hot, the water is getting hot, the heat exchanger actually transfers the heat from the oil to the water as well. It's just, it's not ideal, you know. So I think wrapping them up could be beneficial in my case. Excuse me. So yeah, now this is another thing I have to do in order, as you can see. Oh, let me show you the benefits, because I was talking about the sump and I trade off. So the sump usually is a little bit lower, below is probably, let me show you, probably it was about there, about 3-4 mil below these pipes, which is not ideal. But now you can see it's about 8 mil on the camera. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but from my perspective it's about 8-9 mil between the level of these pipes to the top of the sump. So this is how much space we have. So you say, okay, but still less than original. And original, when it was before, you have more space, so it's more safer. Yes, it is safer, but that's with this crappy sump guards. With a proper sump guard, with a proper aluminium, which is very strong, is chances of hitting down the bottom and bending it towards the sump are very slim. But also, if we do, no problem, because this is a different grade of aluminium, and this is how important it is to choose the right materials. Now this stuff is what the sump is made of. It's very brittle. This is how it sounds like. I wanna. You can't feel it. You can't hear the difference. I hear the difference on the camera. You won't. It's completely. So the material I'm using. Okay, this is very brittle. Let's compare it to almost like a glass. Is cast. If you have a stone hitting the bottom of this, you know, it's gonna crack very easily, and through the crack you lose the oil pressure. Before the lamp goes on, before you notice, bye-bye engine, usually, especially in the race. So this isn't great, and that's why we have so much space between the sump guard and actually the sump. What I did there, I used much thicker aluminium. Not only that, I used a completely different grade. I can't remember what grade it is because there's too many numbers in my head. But it's much, much softer. You can hit it with the stones, with the hammer, as much as you want. It will not crack. It will deform, it will bend, it will come back, it will not crack. It's probably 30 times more resistant to cracking than this. So, you know, why then don't do it out of standard, you say? It's like bollocks. The standard stuff is much better than you make it. No, it's production money, production cost. So casting. So that's a big improvement. But also another big improvement, it will have to be that we, as you can see, the exhaust, especially the header on that side, is sticking out just below this pipe. So unfortunately I have to modify my headers too. Not too much. It's probably gonna modify this one here. I'm gonna chop it here, a slice off about 10 mil maybe, and about 5 mil on this side, because this is slightly higher, this is slightly lower. However, as you can notice, or maybe from this angle, then this header is actually, if I raise it up, it will actually hit the sump here. So we'll have to move them to the side, both of them, a little bit to the side. And then from there, obviously, it goes, you can see it here, it goes 2 to 1, and it will clear the sump perfectly. And plus, obviously, the heat wrap, so it's going to be safe. what else? What else I can tell you about the bike? I think that's it. I think this is it. Not much to it. It's quite simple. You know, the electrics are very simple. Use everything from here to here. It's very small electrical stuff. And the beauty of the ABS not being there anymore. What I'm doing, inside the fuse boxes here. It's two boxes of them. In one of them, I think there's 2 ABS fuses. Now, by not using ABS, clearly, some of the power has to go out there anyway because it communicates with the ECU, communicates with the clogs, and that's why we don't have the engine light and the bike works like factory, just with no ABS. But some of the power wire that goes there, they are not used. So when I'm using these powers, this power outputs, 12-volt outputs, is for my navigation. So usually on the rally bikes, when you see, you have the navigation tower and you have extra wires, extra fuses, extra 12 volts components that are either already wired inside the bike, like, you know, connectors ready to do something like this, or you have to do it yourself. In this case, I'm using everything that is ready on the bike. Instead of ABS fuse, that is my navigation fuse. So everything works standard, and I really like that stuff. It's not a big deal, but it is. I think that's it. The bike, it was fine, nothing broke. These, they made quite a good job. Surprisingly, obviously I have to take them off, take the other side off, and I have to clean the frame as it is. We have to clean the electrics inside as well because they get all the mud inside and don't start to not work properly. And this had some abuse and it's bent inside because I hit something, so I have to go inside there and check what's broken or whatever, both sides. Another thing that I'm a little bit disappointed, a lot of people are actually seen this already, is the rust on the frame. Bit of here, bit here, quite a lot here. Here, there's a big difference between this and that. This, I have my Service frame protector, so they may actually rub on this a little and rub on the paint, and okay, I can stand that. There's nothing rubbing here. Okay, so that's really strange for a brand new frame and it's really rusting. Now bear in mind I have the old XTZ or Super Tenere 750 1990, 30 years old motorcycle roughly. No rust on the frame. So anyways, this is gonna be it, I think. Today I'm gonna modify the exhaust. I'm not gonna do the sump guard today or tomorrow. I'm probably gonna leave these tabs for now standard. Oh, they rust also. There's rust there. I'm gonna leave it standard. So what I did, I prepared the bikes, I prepared the sump and the headers to build new sump guard, but I'm not gonna do it in time because I'm very busy in the workshop right now. So I'm gonna leave it and just, you know, it's gonna be ready. I can assemble the whole thing, and on a later date I can just chop this off, put them in a different place, and then put my sump guard. Also, another very important thing from the new sump guard is that these tabs, when you bolt obviously to hold the sump guard, usually they are underneath, like you see, like here. Okay, obviously bolted in. Now with mine, it's gonna be flat, and I'm gonna bolt them to the side. That's gonna remove all the chances that already happened, that with the stones and something hard you're gonna hit when you slide with the sump, they hit these bolts and you rip them off. And on that occasion, on that sump guard, I had to chop my bolts off twice now because I bent them so badly you couldn't remove them anymore. So yeah, that's not ideal design, standard one. But when we put them on the side, there's nothing to hit them, or very small chances. That's not the thing. But yeah, I'm gonna do it on a later day because no time now. I'm just gonna prepare everything because the major work obviously was the sump. The pickup inside has to be shortened a little bit. It's in plastic, so no big deal, just tiny bit. But everything is gonna be ready for much more ground clearance. It's probably that much, believe it or not. It's about 30 mil, if not slightly more. So yeah, that's gonna be, it's 30 mil is quite a lot, trust me, especially when you're doing stuff that you shouldn't. I think that's it on the bike. I'm gonna have to make another video as soon as the suspension is gonna arrive. I'm gonna put some pictures how it looks like. We're gonna do a comparison with the suspension what was before on the dyno. Dyno is something that tests suspensions, and then I think I'm gonna take it on the motocross track and then some woods, tied woods riding, probably, and then we see the difference. And that's it. Happy with the bike, really happy. I just wanted to go on the back wheel, a little easier, and I think shorter wheelbase, about 40 mil, will help that. Another thing that we want to do is, like I said before, I want to build a proper airbox for these, because these air filters, they will really do the job, and actually they're doing a better job than I thought. I thought that was going to be rainy and we're going for these massive puddles and it's very, very wet. Some of the water is going to go inside, but no water goes inside, to my surprise. So I'm actually backing up, and I'm not so eager to make this airbox so quickly because it does the job. Leave it, because I don't have a time to build one. Because to build the airbox, I probably have to lose my mount, my quick made mount for my clocks, because it will have to be here. I don't know how to design it yet. I have a rough idea, but probably those brackets that we have to go, and that bracket is also holding my bracket for let me get this out of the way, the bracket for my steering dampener. So it's not just the airbox, all of this will have to be modified. I just don't have a time for all that now, so we'll leave it for now. I removed the water expansion tank. I put this waterless coolant in, that it does not expand as much as water, so it doesn't need one. And yeah, it works. The bike actually runs slightly cooler, and temp is a bit more stable. So yeah, it works, and I'm happy with that. Anyways, I think that's it. There's not much more to show you, quite simple. Yeah, a lot of work. Racing. Why I haven't just left it as it was? It was a beautiful bike, as it is original standard, to travel, to go around as a daily, as to go to work, as to get the panniers on the side and the tent on the back and go travel, go find some whatever. What these bikes are designed for, why I'm racing with this bike. I could just get myself a Husky 701 or KTM 690, lighter, single cylinder, 700 capacity of the engine, 74 brake horsepower, same power, same torque as this engine, be more aggressive, much lighter, already designed for racing, designed and developed through the years for racing from KTM and Husqvarna engineers. Why I haven't done that? The answer is, I don't know. I really don't know. I thought that the proper rally racing when I grew up was with people like Peter Hansel, because we're talking Yamaha, or Meoni with KTM 990s. These big bikes, big heavy bikes. Be a man and be strong and tame the beast. You don't have this small light bikes. They're too easy. You don't want it easy. You want it hard. You want to prove yourself, and then once you're doing that, once you actually prove it, and once you tame the beast, you realize it doesn't really matter. What matters is go on a bike and have fun. And the lighter the bike, the more the fun. And that's probably why this T7 weighs only 165 kilograms. Only 165 kilograms. Or, to say the other way, weighs still too much, because Husky 701 weighs 140, or a dirt bike weighs only 105. So how far do you want to go? I think we're good. This is mega reliable bike. Is something that Yamaha came up after many years, after this the mythical Super Tenere 750, and I don't know. I just like it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the best. It has to be the best for me, and I think this is a really good base. Now, that being said, to be honest, the only limit is the money. Because if I had the money, I had all the bikes I could fit in this workshop. But we have to do with what we have. So I like it. Jokes aside, I really like it. Yeah, frame rusting. And I'll show you if you can see it. But cables went through the paint there. I mean, the paint on the frame is shocking. It's like a single, very thin layer of just bit of paint, and that's it. No protection, so we have to address that. So once we've done all the modifications on the frame during the winter, we're gonna get it sandblasted and powder coated. But for now, we just have to get this sorted and paint the swing arm. I got some matte black from Halfords. Hope it'll be enough. Some white grease for the bearings. As we hear, let's grease the mats, protect them from the water. White grease is good because it's used in the marine application, so it repels water, keeps the water away from the bearings. Right, that's it. I will see you once the suspensions has arrived and I assemble the bike together. Oh, there's another thing I nearly forgot. So I was thinking that my whole naphtha, which is not there, I should really put it on, but I don't care, to be honest, for now. It holds on these two tabs. They're fairly strong, they're quite enough, but if I remove my barrel, my steering, the key barrel, I could put another tab there, and the naphtha could be much stronger because everything holds from here and it's quite big. I don't know, I think about it. See you soon.